we always start with a few questions, regardless of what the specific project is. These are questions related to data visualizations, but they almost relate to any project in general. But more specifically, the types of things we want to ask ourselves and ask in conjunction with our clients when we step into a project of this kind. And in this particular project, we had, there were a lot of different parameters, but two of the main focuses of the project. The first one was, could New York State Department of Health use its open data to improve their internal processes and produce better visualizations? So they were looking, it was as much a workflow improvement, a business process improvement project, as it was a data project. Data was going to be used as the or the means to get to that end of improving their workflow. So throughout the project, we were, and again, the example of going from 29 FOIL requests to 1 FOIL request in Becky's presentation kind of demonstrates that kind of impetus to these types of things. You want to make things better, not just produce pretty pictures, in other words. So with that as the underlying motive, then could we do it in a way, and this was very important to DOH with this particular project. They wanted a way that would be durable, meaning once we did it, could they repeat it next year and next year and next, without having to go through the whole development process again? Was it something that would continue for year after year as the data changed, as the world changed? Could they just continue without completely redevelopment? Was it flexible, meaning that once you produce something, the minute people see it, they say, ooh, that's good, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Would it be able to offer more options? Could you adapt it to the situation so that they didn't just get something that they were stuck with in that regard? Was it portable? Once they have loads of data sets, as most of you, I mean, how many people here have open data sets that you work with within your agency organization? How many have more than one of those open data sets? So again, I don't know exactly how many DOH has, but it's dozens of data sets on the data platform. They wanted a way that once they did it for one data set, well, could we take this and apply this to the dozens of other data sets, again, without completely redeveloping things? Was it transferable? Meaning, once you guys develop it or help us develop it, we want to be able to put it on our website without, like, putting in a whole new web server, a whole new application server, all sorts of crazy implementation things. We just want to, it's a web, the project we were working on was a web-based visualization. They wanted to just put it up on the web and be done with it. So that was important too. And that got into the question that John was alluding to earlier about all the different types of tools and software options you have within this universe. That kind of drove our decisions in that regard. And then finally, was it understandable? Was it written? Was the code written in a way that once we handed it over to the DOH team, would we hand them over something that said, thanks guys, what did you do here? Or would it actually make sense to them? They could say, okay, we have to go in and fix this or modify this for next year. Could we easily go in and modify the code? We started in the summer of 2015. At that point, it was just more like a proof of concept, a feasibility thing. They wanted to know if this was actually a sensible approach, could it be done? So we spent a couple months just working with their open data and trying different tools, different ways of visualizing the data, different ways of improving the workflow to come up with something that, see if it was in fact feasible, which we did, and they thought so as well. So from there we went ahead in the February to October of 2016, where we developed and delivered code for the first data set, what they call the EQUAR, which is Quality Assurance Reporting Requirements. Basically, it's reporting they have to do that evaluates the different healthcare plans across New York State, CDP, HP, Empire, those types of things, on different measures, such as health measures, like how are they doing with treating bronchitis, with diabetes, with those kinds of things. It's a reporting mechanism they've done for decades, and they have the open data on that, and they have reporting on their site, so they wanted to bring it over. So that's what we focused on, the data set for the first time. That worked out fine. It's live on their website as of October of last year. And then again, once they did it for that data set, they moved into a third phase. They said, well, you know, we do have all these other data sets. So can we take that code and apply it to these other data sets? And that's what the final phase of the project had encompassed. So those are the timeline of the project. This is just to give you an idea, again, of what we're talking about when we're talking about data visualization for this project. And again, it's very similar to what NYSERDA just showed you. You know, there were tables, and there were graphs, you know, simple charts, and then some kind of interface that made it, flexible for the user to choose different options and so on. This was actually developed as part of the prototype. This wasn't one of the final visualizations, but this was one of the proof of concept things that said, yeah, I think we can, I think this is a reasonable thing to be able to do. Our data visualization process, and this is kind of cool. I kind of noticed this last night, but I left it because I thought in a perverse kind of way it was kind of interesting in terms of visualization. This actually says investigation of user needs and expectations. But when I sent my slides over, my typeface was obviously a different typeface, so when they brought it into the form, it substituted a face that got too big, so you can't actually see the investor. But when we get to the end of my presentation, I mean, the idea of testing and understanding how things look in the world of visualization is very important. So, you know, I don't mind making fun of myself, obviously, but I kind of blew it here. But that's okay, because I was aware of it. We looked at a lot of software and different open source code as well. According to this criteria, could it handle small, large data sets? You know, the data sets we were dealing with, they weren't like, you know, super huge, but they'd be up to maybe 150, maybe the biggest was 500,000 rows of data. I'm not sure it even got that high. Some were as small as 150, 200 rows of data with 5 columns. So they'd be from very small to significantly large. I wouldn't call them big data, but almost big data. Integration, did it have flexibility that we could apply to all types of data sets and work through that iterative development process? Was the software lend itself to being, you know, rapid development type of thing? Frequency, could it support data sets that are updated and changed on a regular basis? What we ended up doing, same thing that NYSERDA does, we're just using the API from the open data set, taking the data set, the data in live. We're not like bringing it into another platform, another database, manipulating it, and creating an interim data set to produce a visualization. So that's how we dealt with that. And the degree of customization, could it be modified to meet users' needs? So on the 3 steps, the forensics, you got to determine if the data is accurate, consistent, complete, and appropriately structured. If it's not, meaning if it's not visual, and what we call visualization ready, meaning based on what you decided you want to show your users through these visualizations, does your data support that? At the same time, we're analyzing user needs. We have people who actually go out and talk to the users, users within the agencies, the users who own the data, outside users, say, and just talk to them. You know, they're better than I am. I mean, they're actually professional researchers who know how to talk to people. Then piloting and implementation. We would demo, again, and this would go, I mean, we had some very planned, structured presentations during the course of the project, but also just ad hoc presentations. We had it up on a demonstration website where at any time people within DOH and us could go in and look at where things were and say, okay, that looks good, or what are you guys doing here? So the workflow. This is a workflow with this eQuire that DOH was looking to improve. And what they were looking to do in terms of workflow was get rid of this. So what they went to was this, where they eliminated those 2 crossed out steps and actually got it to here, where now they go right from the open data set, boom, to the website. There's no intervening work at all. Once it's on the open data set, it's on the website. Boom, they're done. What that did for them in terms of the workflow, a couple months of full-time equivalent for research scientists. They don't have to create all those extra tables that they used to create. a couple weeks effort for the public web team to process those tables, check them back and forth, get them up on their website. They were able to improve their interface now because they had the platform provided it. It's single source driven, so they don't have to worry that this is reflecting the same data as this anymore, because there's no intervening. This is this. If it changes here, it changes there. To me, this is the first one is the most important one, is to spend time up front getting to know your data. And we know a lot of times the tendency is to think, well, we spend time on the code to make the data work. And to me, that's more wasted effort. Not that you're not supposed to spend time on the code, but if you can improve your data to the degree that it lends itself to these things, you can cut back on a lot of the unnecessary coding work, which is much tougher to maintain over time. Data has, when I say know your data, I mean really know it like it's a person. I mean, because data has characteristics, it has a character, it has a personality. Data's weird, right? We all know weird data. It can be resistant, it can be troublesome, it can be helpful, it can be pleasing. It's not often pleasing, but it can be pleasing. I mean, it has those things, and you want to look at your data and understand. The old site isn't there anymore, but just to give you an idea of what it used to be like, you would come to a page within DOH, and they'd have this where you could click on different years, and then on those years you could come in and they'd give you a list of all the different areas, commercial, HMO, adult health, and you could click on one, and then you get to their table. And this was the data. This was a 60 plus 75 tables they would show. So you can see these are the healthcare plans, CDPHP, advising smokers to quit, smoking cessation. So it had information, statewide average, national average, those kinds of things. Those were the tables they used to create by hand. What they moved to was something more like this, where now it's still the same table. This is still managing commercial HMO. You got your plans, you got advising smokers to quit, you got your your measures, your statewide, but all the navigation is within the page. So you can pick any year. Now, if I wanted to see it for commercial PPO, I would just come up here, click that, and there it is for PPO. So look, well, can we use this open data to create maps? Now, here we went to another JavaScript library, still within that same family of tools. Same open source JavaScript library. This one just happened to be called RockAL. And again, getting back to that slide about how do you pick the tool to match the needs of the project and the team. We needed, there's millions of ways to create a map, and maps are a lot of fun to work with. But we needed a map that would first of all have the county outlines in it, would have the labels for the counties in them, would be responsive so that if you went down to a mobile device or a tablet, that the map would, respond appropriately. So all those kind of factors came into play, and we wanted it to fit within our basic JavaScript library framework. So that's how we ended up choosing this particular tool to do it.